Happy Wednesday. Happy Wednesday. Oh, happy Wednesday, y'all. Happy Wednesday. Y'all caught me right in the middle trying to pour me a little glass of water. I need a little water today. I know usually I have a little some little special beverage, but I ain't had time to go get it today. So all I got is water. But happy Wednesday. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to Mission for Mental Health. I am your host, Jackie Robinson. I got a good show for y'all today. I got a good one today. I'm trying to dig deep and bring on guests who can share something with you all with some substance. Is that the word substance? I don't know. She's a teacher, so she can correct me when she come on here. But with some stuff, some good stuff to give you, something that you can take from the show. And I know that I have people in my life and people outside of my life who suffer from infertility. And this is a subject that we don't really talk about too much, right? I don't know why, but we just don't. We just kind of treat it like a grain of salt or something like that. But I figured, you know what? We need to have this conversation. And so I started thinking, and I have a really good friend. Him being my friend for so long, I thought I was going to get him on here too, but he's not here. But I got his wife. And I remember just over the years, him sharing their story and everything like that. And one day, a few weeks ago, we were talking and I extended the invitation and she said, yeah. And what I do is I send people a calendar to see if they for real. I sent that girl that calendar and she picked a date. I was like, oh, she ready to share her story. So she's in the backstage right now. I'm about to bring her up to the stage. Y'all give her some welcomes. Welcome her to Mission for Mental Health. If you can, try to communicate with us a little bit throughout the chat. Otherwise, just sit back and listen to the story. Whatever you like to do will be great with us. So I will be bringing to the stage Miss Vanessa Williams. Now, look, it ain't the singer Vanessa Williams, and it ain't the one from New Jack City neither. This Vanessa Williams. But here she comes, y'all. Here she comes, coming to the stage. Hey, girl.
Hello.
How you do?
I do well. How about yourself?
I'm outstanding. That dog, Lord have mercy. Did you hear that dog? This is the problem with doing live stuff. That dog is barking. She barks.
That's why I came downstairs because my dog is upstairs and he barks.
I tried to shut her out before the show, but she barged in here. Now I can't close the door. So now I got to try to get somebody to get her quiet because she just barks at any and everything. So I appreciate you for saying yes and coming on a Mission for Mental Health.
Sure. I was looking forward to it.
Yes, you're going to have a good time. We have a good time here. So I'm going to read you guys her bio because she actually sent me one. Sometimes my guests don't be sending me nothing. They like, just wing it, girl. You know who I am. Just wing it. But she sent one, so I'm going to read it. All right, so let me pull it up. Hold on one second, y'all. Let me pull it back up. Okay, so Vanessa Williams.
Yes.
She says, I am the youngest of 3 children born to Jefferson and Griselda Davis from Brooklyn, New York. I don't know why I always thought you were from Louisiana.
Because that's where he's from.
Oh,
that's where he's from. Yeah.
I never knew that you were from New York.
So she's a small town in New York City.
Small town in New York City. Brooklyn.
Not too many people have heard of it,
Not too many, right? So I always ask people when people say they're from New York, I'm like, my friend told me to ask people, what borough are you from? Because that's important. I'm like, okay. Yeah. So after high school, she joined the U.S. Army, served for 26 years active and reserve time. She is a wife. She's been married over 20 years, a mother of 3 unique children, and I can't wait to hear about their uniqueness, an educator for 24 years, an author of a contemporary romance stories, and I have her book. I will be posting her book later, so you all can purchase her book. We support our people. It's Black History Month. Support our people. She adores traveling, working out, writing, reading, and spending time with people whom she loves. Mm-hmm. That's great. That's a great bio. Over 20 years in the military. So from New York straight to the military.
Yep. I graduated in June and I left to go to basic training in August.
Wow. And you're still in the reserve, right?
No, I retired. Let's see, my son is 12. So it's been 9 years that I retired.
Awesome. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you doing good. You doing
Yeah.
good. I remember them days your husband talking about she about to go to training. My baby out here running. I'm trying to keep up with. I can't keep up with my baby. My baby out here working out. She got to go turn herself in.
I've turned myself in. Sound like prison.
She got to go turn herself in to go do her basic
Oh,
training or
boy.
something that she got to go do.
Yeah, I used to
Yeah,
have to
yeah,
go for like about 2 weeks.
yep,
I was an instructor, so sometimes I went to Boston, sometimes I went to Texas,
yeah.
and just after a while, I just saw how it was negatively more affecting my daughter because she was a little bit older.
Oh,
My son probably doesn't remember. She might not even remember now, but
right.
it just really was starting to get to her when I would go. So I was getting closer to my time, and I was just like, okay,
Yeah,
that's enough.
yeah. So you got married kind of young because y'all still in this. Let's see, 20. You said 20 years. Y'all been. It's been longer than
20,
that, right?
it'll be 23 years this year.
That's what I'm saying. I knew it was a little bit longer than that. 23 years. You all been married, so you've been together since you're 20.
And since the 1900s.
Since the 1900s, girl. You was a special somebody. But
I like
you.
I like to say that because you think about it, like we were born in the 1900s.
Mm-hmm.
That
Yeah.
sounds really old, but it's the truth. We were born in
Yeah,
the
y'all been so since your 20s, y'all have been married, and I know when your family started, he came with one already. He already had
Yep.
a son, and then of course when you get married, I know the first thing everybody says is, "When y'all gonna have some kids? When y'all
Yeah.
gonna
So
have
it's
some
like when
kids?"
you're dating, it's like when you're gonna get married, and when you're married, when you're gonna have kids, and when you have
Right.
one, it's like when you're gonna have another. So it's a constant thing that people think they should ask questions about.
Well, they didn't ask me that because I got a whole tribe. So people was like, "Girl, when you gonna stop having? When you gonna?"
You're gonna
This
put a
guy
halt to it all.
this guy I used to work with told me one time, he said, I was pregnant with the last one, and he said, Jackie, when your kids is old enough to have kids, I'm gonna need you to stop having kids. And I just busted out laughing. I said, you know what? His last name was Black. And I'm like, you know what, Black? You are absolutely right. I need to stop
Mhm.
busting out all these babies. You are
That'll be your
absolutely true.
cutoff. That'll be your cutoff point.
Shut it down. Let's shut this thing down.
Uh-huh.
So this is a show where we talk about mental health, and
Mhm.
one reason why I did reach out to you all is because I think that you all have such a beautiful, unique story. And
Mm.
I remember, I've been knowing you guys for a long time. God, I've been knowing y'all for like 20 years.
Mhm.
Yeah, I've been knowing y'all for about 20 years. And even though I talked to your husband, of course, more than I talked to you, because we met when we started working together.
Uh-huh.
He's my homeboy girlfriend. He's not a girl at all, but he will sit on that phone with me and talk to me like a home girl from. Don't let
Talk
it
or
be.
gossip. I think it's the word you
We
think you're
do
thinking of
both.
is
We do
gossip.
both. We gossip and we talk. But
Uh-huh.
he will sit on that phone with me as long as I feel like sitting there just yapping away. He will sit there and yap with me.
Mhm.
And so he's always shared, you know, your guys' relationship with me. And I remember there were times, he'd be so excited because Vanessa getting ready to have a baby. And then something would happen. And then he would get, he felt helpless because how can I help her through this? How can I help her through this? So let's go back and let's start talking about the journey, if you don't
Mhm.
mind. Let's share the journey.
Well, we got married in 2001. And we got married in July 2001, and my dad passed away in November 2001. So that was devastating for me and my family, of course, because we were very close.
Right.
So it was, I think it was April of that year when I went home. We went home to see my mom, just check on her
Right.
after everything. She had spent the holidays with us, and then we went home that April. And there was just a lot going on, but somehow I was like, wait a minute, something else hasn't happened. That monthly visitor hadn't happened. And I wasn't really paying attention because it wasn't even something that I was trying for per se. But I took a pregnancy test and it came positive.
Right.
And I was surprised. I mean, not surprise, surprise, but surprised enough.
Right, right.
Um, but at the same time, I was really excited. I was trying to call James. I was trying to call my sister. I was like, I got something to tell you guys. If you want to be the first to know, you need to call me back. And of course, I couldn't reach either one of them, because I'd never been pregnant before. I never,
Mhm.
and here it was. I couldn't find anybody to tell. So I actually ended up telling my workout partner, a good friend of mine. She and I were going walking that day, and I told her, and I was super
Mhm.
excited. And I switched doctors because I was going to a PA at the time. She's like, well, you need a GYN, to kind of help you through this OBGYN. So I was so excited about the whole process. um and 7 weeks later, I want to say, I think I was like 3 weeks or 3 or 4 weeks when I took
Mhm.
the pregnancy test and all that, and actually saw the little bleep on the ultrasound that they did and
Yeah.
all that. And then so that was like April. And by the end of the school year, I think around May is when I miscarried the first time.
Mm.
And you know, didn't know why. And the doctors really couldn't tell me why. And
Correct.
the fact that they called it a missed abortion, because I had to get a DNC when that with the first one, and and they really couldn't tell me anything, you know,
Right.
and the doctor really couldn't tell me anything, and it was devastating because I wanted a reason. I wanted something that happened. Did I do something? Is there something I could avoid the next time?
The next time, yeah.
Is there something that I need to do? And pretty much nothing. I wasn't really given a reason. This happens sometimes. Um, the fact that you got pregnant proves that you can get pregnant, so that's a good thing. That's what
Right.
I was
Okay.
told.
Mhm, mhm.
Um, so we kept on going. I got pregnant again that summer, and so later on in the summer, like towards August or September. And I didn't know for a few weeks, found out, excited again. They recommended a few things, but again, because it was just my second pregnancy, there wasn't anything like they were looking out for, because there was
Right.
no red flags from before. I mean,
Right.
besides the fact, because I was in my early 30s, so I was probably like 32.
Mhm.
um and that one ended after 6 weeks. I had a miscarriage. So, and as I was saying, it's interesting to me how my GYN never suggested that I go see a fertility specialist. Again, because here I am in my 30s, and unfortunately,
Very
they
healthy. They're probably
very
thinking,
healthy, but even at being that age, it's still considered older. I don't know when they think women are getting pregnant, but most of the time, women who work and have gone to school and have a profession or a career, they're not getting pregnant until their early 30s, mid
early 30s,
30s.
right. Look, we family together.
So then a friend of mine, she said, Vanessa, she said, OBGYNs are there for you when you get pregnant and you have a baby. You need to go to a fertility specialist and figure out what's going on.
Right.
And you know it wasn't a doctor that suggested that to me, it was a friend. So I make an appointment to go to a fertility specialist. And I just remember the first thing they do is they want to take blood from you because they want to test, to see what's going on. And I remember they had this chart sitting right there in this room, and I'm thinking to myself, I don't need to see this chart. But it was a chart that showed your declining fertility
As you're aging.
as you're aging.
Right.
And I'm thinking, there's not a woman that's in here that really needs to see this.
Right.
So it was interesting to me how insurance works too. I found that out. So insurance they'll pay for, what will they pay for? They'll pay for diagnosis, but they won't pay for treatments. And what I found out was there was, if my fertility doctor ordered a test, the insurance wouldn't pay for it. But if my GYN ordered a test, then the insurance would pay for it,
Why are they
because
thinking fertility doctors because
it's a
it's a specialty?
specialty, or it's not required. It's probably some insurance fine print type of thing. But it's interesting to me, the whole process, because all of it is very expensive. just trying to get diagnosed with anything.
Yeah.
I remember going to a specialist, and he wrote like 21 and circled it on this paper, and I just thought it was some kind of code. No, it was 21 vials of blood that I had to fill with the different tests that I had to go through. Um, and it was just, they suggested that I try different medications that would help me to ovulate more. Um, I was lucky and blessed that I had a partner that was willing to go get tested himself. I had a
Mhm.
friend that was going through fertility issues, and her husband was like, "I'm not getting tested. There's nothing wrong with me." But James did go and get tested at the fertility clinic to figure out whether his, sperm count was sufficient, whether they were swimming in the right direction, and all those kind of things. So we did all those things, and nothing came up as a red flag.
And all this is coming out of pocket.
Some of it was, part of it was, and then part of it, like I said, if it was a test that my GYN requested, then the insurance would pay for that. So again, they're paying for those types of things, but they wouldn't pay for treatment.
Mm.
But they would pay for diagnostic things.
Mm. Mm.
And I mean, I had a histoping, a sonogram, I had different things, I had like tubes. It was just a lot, even the fertility treatments. And what's odd about some of the fertility treatments that you take, the Clomid that I took, it can put you into early menopause. And you're like, okay, but I'm taking this.
Right. And we're not trying to be in menopause right now. We're trying to have a
No.
baby.
Yeah, not in my 30s, so it was just a lot going through. And, but I knew there was going to be a point where I just was going to quit, because the last time I got pregnant, I remember it was in July, and I remember my due date was April 4th, 2004.
Mhm.
And I was so excited, and it went past all the other points. All the other ones went. I went to 6 weeks, I went to 8 weeks, and in my 9th week, I miscarried.
Mm.
And I was just devastated because, I'm trying to think, okay, what am I doing wrong? God doesn't want me to become a mother. If I have a kid, I'm going to mess a kid up, so it's just not going to happen. And you do lose hope, because you're thinking, I'm not asking for $1 million. I'm not asking for a big house or a shiny car. I'm asking for a baby. And, to be a mother, to have that opportunity. And it's not a selfish thing to be a parent, because it's very selfless, because
Correct.
your life is no longer your own once you have kids. And I just couldn't figure out why it wasn't meant to be. And I'm not saying that I gave up, but I just figured that maybe it just wasn't meant to be. It just,
How many
was
how many pregnancies did you experience?
four
4.
in total.
And the third
Um,
one was the longest term, or was the fourth one the
the fourth
longest
one
term?
was the longest one.
Fourth one.
So I really, at that point, I really thought that, whatever all the fertility treatments that we did, and I actually had a surgery called um, myomectomy, because it was discovered with all the testing that I went through that I had fibroids.
Mm.
So I had fibroids removed, and that was after the last pregnancy. I got my fibroids removed in 2005, and I never got pregnant again after that.
Were they able to give any explanation as to
No,
why?
no,
Just nothing.
no.
Just plenty of eggs.
Cycle still came on a regular basis. The eggs were, there was enough of them. It was just, there was just no definitive answer. And I think that was the thing that really got to me the most, was there was no definitive, this is the reason why, So either you can like totally give up, or have hope that there could be something else. But because there wasn't a reason, you could say, and then, like I said, it was very disheartening. And then, and people in their well-meaning ways, saying all kind of things. And, you try this and you try that. And, if you put your computer on your lap, I heard the laptop will make
Right.
it. I mean, it's just, a whole bunch of
If you hang upside down, if you drink
yeah,
apple cider vinegar, if you take the,
yeah, take some Geritol, and and all those kind of things. And I mean, and I know they mean well, but at the same time, it doesn't really help.
it doesn't
It
help.
all really does make you feel bad, because as a woman, there's a certain shame attached to it. I just think about the barren women of the Bible. Even that word barren, it just sounds horrible. It sounds horrible, and it just sounds very hopeless. barren and cold and hopeless, that this is just not going to happen to me. And if as a woman, I can't carry a child, like, what else can I do? And again,
Right.
those are the dark holes, the rabbit holes that your mind goes down,
Right.
in real life, that does not make or break you being a woman. But
Absolutely.
in those dark times, that's what you start thinking, that, I'm this barren woman that, I never knew all these years, what did I do something in my 20s that affected me? Did I do something, so it's just a bunch of what ifs. And when you don't get a definitive answer, it is, it is really, really
Did
disheartening.
it how did it have a effect like on your mental health and with your husband and with your family? I mean, did you end up like in a depressive state, or were you standoffish, or were you still wanting to? And also, how did you maneuver okay, you're in your 30s, so if this is the age where all your girlfriends get married too and start having kids.
Mhm.
How do you maneuver in that space?
One thing I was very, I'm a very interesting person for real, but you're right. Like, everybody around me was having babies. There was one year, let's see, the year before, 2005, 2006, where there were like 6 women at my school pregnant.
Mm.
They were
You're a teacher.
yeah,
Mhm.
and they were all having girls. Except for the principal. I think she was the only one having a boy. And but I never, because I didn't believe that, like, because they were having kids, like it was going to run out, like they were taking all the baby blessings and it wasn't
Oh,
going to happen for me.
yeah.
I was happy for people, but I was sad for myself. So I still went to the baby showers and still bought things and still, so I didn't get to that point, because you can become bitter. But I'm not that person, but it was sad. It
Yeah.
was a lot.
Like, why not me?
Yeah. Why, what am I doing wrong?
Mhm.
I mean, I remember this girl and I were having this conversation at my job about, she was having fertility issues and all that too. And then how I knew she and I were never going to be friends again was when she got pregnant, she says to me, "I beat you." And I was like, I didn't know it was a
I
competition.
didn't know we were in a race.
Yeah, I didn't know we were in a race. And I was like, okay, I'm done with you. But when she had her shower, I still bought her something for her baby and all that. But I was just like, because I had thought that we were becoming friends, that was the
Mhm.
rapport that we were having. But when she said that, I was like, okay, that was ugly.
That was cold.
And and I was just like, okay, well, we can't be friends. We
Yeah.
can't be friends. But I mean, just the things that people have said, or just over time, they don't really think that, I hopefully she didn't intentionally mean to be ugly and mean.
Right.
I don't know what else she could have been saying something like that, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
So, but it was hard, and it was just, for me, it was very, very difficult. I felt alone. I and I my misery doesn't love company. So when I feel that way, I'm usually by myself.
Mhm.
And I probably did shut my husband out a bit, because I didn't know what to do, and he seemed fine with it in a way that, I guess because in his mind, I don't know. I'd have to ask him that specific question, because all that time is kind of, dark for me. But he had a son already, technically speaking.
And
So
you're helping him, because his son is coming to visit.
yeah,
So
his son was
you're
coming to visit. When we got
Mhm.
married, I want to say Aaron was 8. When I met
Mhm.
Aaron, he was 6.
Right.
Um, because he was born in 91. Yeah, we met in 97, so he was 6. So he had come for the summer. I was the catalyst that got him to come live with us. I told him, and I told James and his ex-wife, I said, it's time. He needs to do his part. He needs to do his part. I
Mhm.
didn't want Aaron to come to live with us get out of my house. You're a teenager and
Right.
you drive me crazy. You got to go. I wanted him to come to live with us, because it was just time.
He
And
needed he needed to be around his dad at
yeah,
that
he needed to
time.
be
It was
around his
a
dad. He needed to have his
mhm,
male influence, and just
mhm,
they
mhm.
needed to have their time together. She had done the basics that you're supposed to do as a mommy, but now that he's becoming a young man, that he needed his dad. So
Yeah.
he came to live
Yeah.
with us permanently when he was still in middle school. So he might have been seventh and or eighth grade, seventh
Yeah.
grade, sixth, seventh grade, seventh grade.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's difficult. Did you find that doctors, do you think that if you were a white woman that you would have been advised different when you were going through your infertility portions?
I think maybe I would have been given different options.
Mhm.
I think a lot of times, unfortunately, African American women aren't given the same services or opportunities that other women are given.
Mhm.
Um, the fact that my doctor did not recommend any fertility treatments for me or to see a fertility specialist with me being, like I said, I was 32.
Right. Still
Um,
young.
yeah, but at the same time, they basically say like if you've tried for a year, then you need to to seek assistance. But just like letting me know what my options were, I don't feel like I was given that opportunity, and I
Right.
think that's just part of it. I think in many medical ways, with fertility, with health in general, African Americans are not treated the same way as their Caucasian counterparts,
Right.
unfortunately. Uh,
Unfortunately, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
mentally, physically, all of it.
Right.
We're just not given the same consideration. We're not given the same opportunities. We're not given the same um, advantages, if you will,
Right.
comes to medical care.
Yeah. So we're moving forward. You got Aaron with you now. He's like
Mhm.
8. You had unfortunately 4 miscarriages, and in your mind you've given up, but not really given up, but kind of given up.
Well,
Um,
it was weird. It was, I mean, all this stuff that happened. I mean, I just stayed very prayerful. I would go in my closet and I would just pray and I would just pray and I would just cry and I was just like, you know, just asking God and not questioning, but still asking. Because I'm figuring you're leading me and guiding me into some type of direction. I just don't know what it is.
right.
And I just remember it was just really weird that summer. It was 2007 now. So I was in this class with these girls in Alabama, and they were talking about adoption. And they were just saying, oh, yeah, it's easy to adopt, all these girls getting pregnant and, it's easy to get a baby. You can get a baby that look like you and your husband. And I just remember them making it seem like literally like you go to Walmart and get a
Like
baby.
you shopping.
Yeah, like you go to Walmart and get a baby. And I was
Baby,
like,
these shoes match us. Do you think these
yeah,
shoes match us?
yeah. You go back in the back of Walmart, where they sell the tires and the BB guns, and you can find yourself a little brown baby. And I was just like, because I never really thought about adoption, honestly.
Right.
I mean, I just never thought about it. Or considered. I remember James did ask me about it once, and I was just like, no, no. Because I felt like if I did adopt, I was giving up. That was my mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just so many signs that particular summer that that this was an option that we needed to try. And I just remember I was walking into a women's conference at my church and I just said, God, however you decide to grow my family, I'll accept it with an open heart. So that might have been like June or July. So when we found out, so when James called me about this opportunity to adopt, that was August. It was the beginning of August. So he is at Oklahoma. He went there to see a friend's son graduate from basic training in Oklahoma at Fort Sill.
Mm-hmm.
And he had some friends that lived there, and he went to a VFW, a Veterans of Foreign War club or something like that.
Uh-huh.
And while he was there, he was with his friend. It's probably best if he tells the story, but from what I can remember, he was there with a friend who basically said, "Hey, get away from me. You're kind of scaring the guys away from talking
Yeah.
to me. So
Yep.
go
You
on
blocking.
somewhere. Yeah,
Yep.
you're cock blocking. So go on
You
somewhere
blocking.
and
Uh-huh.
leave me alone.
Go in the back.
Yeah, go in the back somewhere. I don't want
Uh-huh.
anybody to think we're together." So he was walking around and he met someone. Her name is Irma Moore. Her name is Her name was Chunky, and they got to talking because
Y'all done met
James
somebody named Chunky in the
has
back of the
yeah,
car.
yeah, in the back of the VFW. And him and her were talking, and my husband has that gift for gab, so they talking about
Yes, he
everything in
does.
life
Mhm.
and kids and all these kind of things and all that because he's never met a stranger. And she tells him, my friend's daughter is getting ready to have a baby and give it up for adoption. Are you interested? At the
Yeah.
back of the VFW club
Yeah.
in
He said,
Oklahoma.
let him tell it. He said, we was back there drinking and everything, Jackie. We was
Yeah.
back there drinking. And
Uh-huh.
this lady gonna ask me if I want to adopt. I was mixing it up with her daughter, her friend's daughter's
Mm-hmm.
child. He said, I called Vanessa and she was like, boy, get off my phone. Like, go
I know,
on
because it
somewhere.
just sound, I'm like, what? And I mean, he didn't have any details or anything like that. So I'm like, okay, I'm like, sure, because again, I'm not even 100% believing what he's saying. Because I'm like,
Right.
okay, are you still
And
intoxicated
you
from the
back
night
here drinking in the
before?
club. Ain't nobody
Yeah.
thinking
Are you
about what
still?
you talking about.
Yeah. Usher said he wanted to make love in the club. He said nothing about a baby.
He said, never about no baby.
No. So he I think he met the birth mother before he left Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
Again, the details a little sketchy now, but I remember talking to her once, and it was just a few weeks, and she knew she was having a girl. She was due like in the middle of September, I remember her saying, and I was trying to not be excited just in case,
Just
because
in
anything
case.
can happen.
Yeah, because you got to keep your guard up because this is so weird
Yeah,
how
it's
this is
so
coming about.
it's so strange that you're like, okay, I watch Lifetime all the time, and these women have kids and they promise it to 3 or 4 people looking for money, but she wasn't really looking for anything. She just knew that she was giving this child up for adoption, and she was just looking for a good home.
Mm-hmm.
And there were weeks that would go by that we would talk to her, because again, this was all in the beginning of August when all this happened, when he met her and everything. So like I said, she was supposed to be due in the middle of September. So it was a few weeks that we talked to her, and then there was like a couple of weeks that went by where we didn't talk to her at all.
Correct. Yeah.
And and I got nervous, and I thought to myself, I was watching something, and this lady said, you can't get upset if they decide to parent their own child.
Oh,
And that really hit me, and I had to let it go. If she decides to parent her child, I can't be upset about that.
correct.
I can't
Correct.
be angry that she decides to parent her child. That's
Right.
the natural way it works anyway. Um, but so like I said, there was a while where we didn't hear from her, and I did get kind of nervous because I did start getting excited, because I was just like thinking that this was how it was going to happen. This was how it was meant to be. This was how I was going to become a mommy. And I think there was like a week or so we hadn't heard from her at all. And James was trying to contact her through the friend that he met, and it was still nothing. And then she went into labor. It was a Tuesday, August 28th, 2007. And she called us. She called him and said that she was going into labor.
So she was
And
early.
she was early. And
Mm-hmm.
it was and I think I still have the message on my phone when he called me, and he said, babe, she just called me and told me she's going into labor. He said, in the first time in my life, I don't know what to do. He's like, should I get on the plane? Should I
Right.
go? And I was just like, because I was at work, so I didn't answer my phone. So we talked about it. He decided that he was going to fly to Oklahoma. Again, nothing was official. Like we had it. It was just conversations that we were having with her.
Right.
There was no lawyer, no court, no legal anything at this point. So we had to do all that. He had to do all that when he went to Oklahoma. So
Yeah.
she was born on Tuesday, and I don't think he flew out till Thursday. And after having a kid, most of the time they kind of boot you out the hospital like within 24 hours.
Yeah. Right.
Women don't get to stay in the hospital for any
Yeah.
time.
No complications.
But
Time to go.
yeah, but and she's she was young, but I'm telling you, it was so God in front of the scenes, not behind the scenes like
Mm-hmm.
people experience. Because literally, I think Kendall had some kind of testing or something like that she had failed, and she ended up staying in the hospital a little bit longer. But she was released to him from the hospital on that Friday. So she, because the birth mother had planned on taking her home, and she was born on Tuesday, but she didn't get released from the hospital until that Friday.
Wow.
And I think it was because of some kind of hearing or some kind of test she took that she didn't pass, and they wanted to do it again, and they wanted to run some tests on her, but she was fine. She was fine. And Oklahoma has, hold on. Oops. Oklahoma has this every state has their own laws as far as like adoptions go.
Mm-hmm.
And theirs was pretty simple and cut and dry. Um you can relinquish your parental rights at the hospital, not at the hospital, but with a lawyer and a court reporter, like kind of taking the minutes or whatever.
Right.
And once she had done that, it was over for her. So James has this baby with him the whole time, and I'm thinking, is any of this legal? Like, is this
Right.
okay? Like, is somebody gonna stop us?
Yeah,
And
don't tell me you got locked up for kidnapping now.
yeah, you know, but once she relinquished her parental rights,
And she
they
did
were
it right there in
fine.
the hospital,
Well, they did it actually at the lawyer's
at
office.
the lawyer's office.
Yeah, but the thing was, before that, like James had to, so he had to think. So he flew from Atlanta to Oklahoma. He had to get a lawyer. Like I think he had been we had been in contact with a lawyer there because
Yeah.
we didn't know what Oklahoma's rules were, what their laws were, or anything like that. So we had two lawyers there, a lawyer there that was helping us, and because it didn't go to a judge, it was kind of like in a like a court reporter and like a mediator between the two of them.
Yeah.
And she relinquished her parental rights there on the spot, and Kendall was with him the entire after that. I mean,
Did you all name her, or did the birth
we
mother
named
name
we
her?
named her.
Y'all
We named
named her.
her. The only thing was to terminate the birth father's rights.
And I was
And
getting ready to say, now what happened to the daddy? Where's the
yes,
birth
he was
mother?
nowhere to be found. He and her that was her ex, so they didn't really have any contact. So it was a matter of kind of waiting. It was a waiting process with him. It was like a was a 30-60 day process of trying to locate him,
Locate him. Mhm.
making sure that he had the information, and giving him an opportunity to try to contest, which we were a little nervous about that because I mean, he could have.
Yeah.
But once the time, because I remember the time period was actually over, I want to say at the end of October. So it
But,
was,
but you all were able to bring Kendall back to
no, no.
Georgia. Oh, you
So so
yeah.
when his so let me backtrack. So James was in Oklahoma for like from the end of August. I flew there probably about the 8th of September, and we had to stay with her in Oklahoma until it's an interstate, because an interstate adoption. So Oklahoma has to basically agree to release her, and Georgia has to agree to accept her. So because it's the interstate, and because they have different laws, so they have to make sure that both of the laws of adoption laws of Oklahoma and of Georgia are being followed. So it's an interstate pact is what they call it.
Wow.
And so we just had to wait. Once our lawyer in Oklahoma, Leah, had taken care of her and sent the paperwork to Georgia, we just had to wait until we were given permission to leave. And I was in Oklahoma, I want to say from the 8th of September to probably about the 23rd. So I was there for a few weeks
Mhm.
with her before we were able to go. And all of that too. So James had some friends that he had met at Fort Sill when he lived there years ago. And they had moved away, and they had for years, and they had just come back to Oklahoma that year.
Y'all, right when it got juicy. She's gonna pop back in, y'all. Oh my gosh. This conversation is so, if this ain't God, I don't know who it is. If God is not in the middle of that story, you talking about a woman that had been trying to have a baby with her husband. She lost 4 children. Her husband, she's kind of given up, but not given up, and she's asked God to bless her family however he sees fit. And her husband goes to Oklahoma, meets some girl named Chunky in the back of of a bar, a veterans bar,
A dive bar.
and they come back with a baby. So I was just sharing, just sharing the
Uh-huh.
story while you were coming back on. Man, if this ain't God,
And
girl,
then so the friends that he had, they had just moved back to
we
Oklahoma.
don't have any comments on
So
here.
so the weeks that we were there, we didn't have to incur the cost of trying to find some place to stay. We were able to stay with them.
Stay with friends.
And they were just beautiful people. Her parents, they were just so kind and welcoming to us, and just letting us stay there, and just it was great not having that stress of that
Right.
expense with
Yeah.
everything else that was going on. So James, let's see, because I remember I took her for her like 2-week checkup on like September 11th. I went to go see the doctor with her, and I think he flew out. Like I flew in the 8th. I think he flew out like the 9th or the 10th, and then I just stayed there with her for the remainder of the time. So
Isn't
because
that
Aaron was still was living with us still, and
right?
so he went back home and stayed with him, and and worked, and I just hung out with her, my little sweet bundle of
Your
love.
sweet little bundle of joy. So y'all so all the paperwork gets taken care of, and you all come back to Georgia.
Hmm.
And who would have thunk, as they say in the South, that this situation could happen? Like,
Yeah, at all.
because
Like,
you prayed, God, however you feel my family
feel.
should grow.
Hmm.
This is,
I'll accept it. I'll
I'll
accept
accept
it.
it.
And
And
it,
boom, here she
again,
comes. Here she
all
is.
of it is just so unconventional because people wait for years to adopt. People go through so many different processes, disappointments, different things. And it was just like she was just truly just meant to be our baby. You know, and I just remember seeing her like that first day when I came there, and just like it just didn't seem real to me. Like, is this, I just kept thinking, is this okay? Is this,
Right.
is it okay? Because it just didn't seem real that, that it had just happened the way it did,
Yeah.
but it was such a blessing. And just, um, I just felt so blessed that we got the opportunity to be her parents, you know,
Yeah.
this little thing. Like, she was like 5 pounds when she was born. And I think like the 2 weeks checkup, I remember she was like 6 pounds. And I was like, oh, she's growing,
Yeah.
and it was just great. And I just remember like flying back with her and just thinking to myself, I don't want anybody to stop us. Like, I'm hoping no one tries to stop us, but I don't remember like feeling like that real breathing uh sigh of relief until we landed at Hartsville. Like,
Yeah.
we're home. We're
Yeah.
home, you know.
Yes.
So yeah.
So Kendall is now a big girl. She's
She's 16.
definitely not a baby anymore.
No, she's not. She's 16, and she's one of my unique children.
She is. But you know what? She's unique just like the rest of them.
Yeah.
She's no different.
Nope.
We've talked
Nope.
about her. She's just like the other one. She's
Yes.
typical,
Yes.
typical teenager.
Typical
Typical
teenager.
teenager.
Typical.
Typical. And then
No.
and then so in your bio, you say you have 3 children.
Yes.
So we have Aaron, we have Kendall, and then we get another one.
Miles Jefferson the first.
And so how did that come about?
So we had decided that we wanted to adopt again. We had tried so Miles's process was a lot longer, and his was more conventional. We were working with this Catholic adoption service that they had in New Orleans, and working with another one, I think it was in Alabama or Mississippi.
How did you find
And
those locations, and what made you choose out of state locations versus Georgia?
um honestly, I can't tell you. I know it was the people that we were working with. We had gotten some information from different resources that we were working with, and that's how we found out about the one in New Orleans. And then, the people that we were going through here, and the lawyer, I believe, in Oklahoma, just getting some information, and somehow, for some reason, just found out it might be easier going through
Okay.
this Catholic service in New Orleans. The one in Mississippi, not 100% sure about. I can't really, honestly, I can't remember because we didn't, and I couldn't figure out how they even got our information besides the fact that we had adopted and we had registered and just done different things. But I think we were just trying different agencies at that point.
Right.
And it was probably about 2 years we were trying to do that. And it was this is God. We got a call. I remember we were on spring break, and Kendall and I were out and about just running errands. And James calls me because we got a call from the place in Mississippi about a baby, and the one in New Orleans about a baby.
Mhm. Mhm. Mm.
And I was just like, okay, so you have to make these decisions very quickly because you're not the only one. So we had to, I remember we had to like put this book together. It was like a just kind of like a biography, like a picture book about our family. If we had any grandparents or aunts, like who would be involved in this kid's life.
Right. Right.
So I remember putting one of those together, and ours is like a real storybook. It's not like a scrapbook or anything like that. I went through Walmart and put the pictures in there and typed up stuff, and you had to take pictures of the house. And I remember we had to do like home visits and all those other kind of things just to prove that we're not crazy people. You have to
Right.
qualify to be parents when you adopt. So it's a whole process with that. And interesting with Kendall, all of that stuff was done after the fact, but with Miles it
Right.
was done before
Right.
because hers was so unconventional. So we had the book and all those things with the pictures and all that. So, and I guess they would give it to the girls to look through to see, for them to pick their families. So we were chosen by
Oh.
those by two. It was a little girl in Mississippi, and it was a little boy in New Orleans. And it just happened so fast. But I just remember when I was asking questions about things, the people in New Orleans were a lot more giving. Like they sent a picture of him, and the ones in Mississippi, they were like, "Well, no, until you guys, paid a fee or something like that." And I was just like, that seems kind of shady.
A little, yeah, a little sketchy right there.
Yeah, a
Mhm.
little as the
Mhm.
children say, a little sus. And
Mhm.
so like I just remember seeing this little picture and thinking to myself, that's my baby. Seeing
Yeah.
this little face, and he was just kind of sprawled out, and I was just like a little boy, and I said, I don't know what to do with the little boy. I said, but I'm like, shoot, I said, I think this one is our baby. So
Yes.
it's
So,
so
that process, how long was that process?
so he was born in March, and I remember we picked him up in April.
Oh, so
We
it wasn't as
It wasn't as big of a gap
okay.
in time, and we drove to New Orleans, and I remember telling Kendall like I've always wanted them to be aware of their story because there's no shame
Mm,
in their story. It's just a
right.
part of life. So it's just like how people say, "Oh, my mom said when she had me, her water broke in a taxi cab." It's just a part of your story. So when we were driving to New Orleans, I said, "Oh man, Kendall, when we came to get you, we had to fly all the way out to Oklahoma. Like we had to get on a plane, and to get Miles, we're driving to New Orleans, and making her a part of the process, making her a part of the story.
Yeah.
And she was so excited, and and I love looking at those pictures now when because she wasn't quite 5 yet, but her holding him, and she was so excited about her baby and her brother and everything. So but yeah, so we met his I never met Kendall's birth mother, but I met Miles's birth mother.
Okay.
um, and because we all were there in the room together, and she like handed him over to us, and I mean he was just so little,
Oh.
he wasn't even quite a month old yet, or he was just a month old. Yeah, it was just probably about a month old.
So she had him for a whole month and then realized,
Well, no, she was like in a want to call it like a halfway house.
I
He was
got
like
you.
like in a home where he stayed there for a few weeks because I
Yeah,
remember like the lady, like these people aren't necessarily identified to us, but like she had sewn him this blanket that I still have for him. But yeah, but he wasn't living with her.
I got you. I got
Hmm.
you. Wow. What a blessing. So,
Yes. And his
we
was
do have
his it was interesting. His interstate adoption, we had to do the same thing. we couldn't leave the state of Louisiana until the same thing. So because it's called an interstate pact, so you have to wait
Right.
because again, every state has their own adoption laws. But with him, I mean, James was going to stay with Miles in New Orleans, and Kendall and I flew back to Georgia,
Right.
and it was a few days later where they called and said, "You've been released."
Wow.
And he was gonna drive back by himself. I'm like, you're not driving back to Georgia with my baby in the back seat, and you, I'll
Yeah.
be back
You
down
know,
there.
hit that turnpike or something wrong.
Yeah,
Hit one of them.
no sir. So I'll be down there. I'll be down there. Just meet me. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So my Kendall stayed with my sister, and I flew down there, and I drove back, and I stayed in the back seat with Miles the whole time until we made it back across the
Yeah.
state lines.
Family complete, right?
Yes, 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 yes.
So
So
how,
sometimes those crazy two will say something about a little brother or little sister. I'm like, no,
oh, not at 50.
no.
Look, we trying to get you, we trying to get y'all gone.
Yes, yes. And I told Miles, you're the little boy, you're the little brother, you're the little sister to Aaron. So yeah, that's it complete.
This is a mother and daughter on here. They watch every week. I just love them. Um, Day mentioned that very compelling perspective. Open adoption was the option for my grandson. What a gift!
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, there shouldn't be any secrets because secrets always come out. They always come
they
out.
yeah they
And people
do.
have questioned me about that before. Like, you think it's a good idea that you told them and that they know? And I'm thinking, if I didn't, then when would I? What age would have been the right age? Tell them at 10, tell
Right.
them at 13, tell them at 18. So someone's sitting there looking at you talking about my whole life is a lie. You people lied to me and I can't trust you. No, ma'am, no, sir. That was never going to be
Yeah,
our story. That was never going to
yeah,
be our story.
yeah.
Um, you know, Kendall has said sometimes that she regrets that we told her, but she understands why. Because
Mm,
because and I always explained to her, I said it's not a shame, and I said it's not a secret. I said it's just family business. I said there are people that
mm.
know me that don't know that you two are adopted because it's none of their business. That's not
Correct.
my lead in. You know, People that
Correct.
were there from the beginning that know the entire story, they know the entire story, but everybody doesn't necessarily know. And I said
Right.
because it's not a secret, I said that's just part of our family, and there were times where I think when she was younger, she may have said something to people. And because again, in the African American community, adoption is not
I was just getting ready to
prevalent.
ask you. That was my next question. Like, how receptive were? I'm sure the family was very supportive,
Oh yeah.
but how were outside? Because black folks don't adopt no children, honey. White
No.
folks adopt black babies, so
Yeah.
they say.
But but the thing is so funny to me is just like, with the situation that happened to Kendall, I said because it's not prevalent in the African American community, people aren't used to it. I said, but there's a lot of babies out there living with their aunties. There's a lot of babies out there living with their grandma.
Yeah,
I said, the thing is, when you share it, just realize that people will take it however they take it. And
yeah.
it was a negative way that people took it. So I think that's how she received
Which
it.
she wouldn't have told her.
Yes.
Yeah,
But I will never regret telling them. I will never regret
absolutely.
allowing that to be part of their story. Now you can make it into something negative, of course, but everybody has a story. Some stories started with a drunken night, and ended up, 10 months later, So everybody has a story and everyone should be allowed to know their story,
Yeah.
and there shouldn't be
And I'm sure
any
like
secret
later
with
in
it.
life she probably will appreciate it. She's still young and
Yeah.
they just be child them kids be all over the place. But um I think as she grows older, she would appreciate that she knows, that she was told versus finding out later. And then
Yeah.
you
Because
turn into that.
I can't even imagine what that would feel like. I mean, because anytime I've heard the story of someone finding out, however they find out, it is always
Devastating.
devastation. It is always
And I
devastation.
want to find my birth this and I want to
Yes.
find my birth that. And I
And
want
now you people who perhaps have given you a great life, a fantastic life. They have lied to you your entire life. Your life is a lie.
yeah.
No, your life is pretty cool,
Yeah.
but there was this thing. And so that's when I decided that I would let them know as young as possible. So when Kendall, she's asked a lot more questions than Miles ever asked. Like I remember her when she was 3 and she asked me about babies being in my belly. And I said, no, I said, you were never in my belly, but you were always in my heart. So, again, at 3, there were no follow-up questions. And
Right.
then she started asking other questions and I would just answer them at the level that she would ask. Because I figured she had the right to know. If in my mind, if you were asking, then you were ready to hear what it was.
Right.
Miles, on the other hand, I know he knows, because again, that's always been a part of his story. But like one day, I think he was, I want to say 5 or 6, just randomly. Why didn't I go with her?
Mm.
And you have to be ready to answer that question. There
Mm.
can't be any stumbling or faltering. And I said, I don't know. I said, you were just meant to be my baby. I said, God just meant for you to be my baby. And he said, I know that. He said, but why didn't I go with her? And I said, I don't know, baby. I said, maybe one day you'll get a chance to ask her that question because I can't answer
Mhm.
that question.
Right.
And I won't pretend like I can. So it's just a matter of, well, maybe one day you'll get to ask her that question yourself.
Right.
And I'm all for that once they get to an age where they can make those decisions and choices and it won't negatively impact them and they can, maturely handle it. But I, mm-mm.
Yeah.
we've got information kind of on both of them where whenever they're ready, whenever they're old enough and they can ask those questions.
When you all when the adoption occurred, it was that option there that if the birth mothers ever say, if you ever wanted to let them know about me, yes, because I don't know how I would feel if I don't know if I'd want to intervene. Like I allowed you to go with this family because I thought this was what was best for you,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm good. I don't,
Mm-hmm.
we don't really know how they will be receptive. So did they give you all that option during the process, or was it, just like, look, girl, take these kids and go on now?
Well, I no, I don't think so. I don't think that they wouldn't be receptive.
So
Because
y'all don't
part
keep
of
in contact or anything like that?
not directly, no.
Okay.
There's James knows, like, because we still keep in contact with Chunky. Like we could still have access to her if we needed to. He still keeps in contact. He has contact information for Kendall's um maternal grandmother. Yeah, he still
Yes.
has information on her. So if they ever really just wanted to know, just to go to Oklahoma, if she wanted to do that, or he wanted to go to, we have ways to find out,
Yeah.
how we can contact them. And so Kendall, again, as she got older and started asking more questions, so she knows that she has siblings. Um,
Oh.
and at first I didn't want her to know because again, then you start having feelings of
Uh-oh.
rejection, you
Uh-oh.
know. Well, why didn't I get to stay?
Yeah, you kept them, but you didn't keep me.
Yeah.
But we
And
don't even know if she kept them.
yeah. And then she found out that she didn't, that none of them are with her.
It's none of
Um,
them.
no, no. So there were 3
Jesus.
before Kendall and there were 2 or 3 after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which was probably for the best. Somebody put in here, I'm wondering if my son knows if he's adopted now. So she gave her son up for adoption, and so she's having lingering that
Mhm.
lingering feeling of wondering. Um, I've been in contact with both in the beginning, but it faded.
Yeah, because in
Mhm.
the oh, that's James.
I was saying, I think I know who that is.
Yeah. So that was one of the things with Miles' adoption, that for the first 5 years we were supposed to send pictures and things. And I did really well with that every month or every 2 months, however long it was, or however whatever time frame was that I was supposed to send those pictures, and I did. But then I realized that she was not seeing these pictures. She had not, contacted them to get the pictures, so I just stopped sending them. And I was only
Oh,
required to do it for like 5 years. And I think
Yeah.
I did it for maybe like the first year. But when I realized that she wasn't seeing these pictures, then I stopped doing it.
Yeah. I mean, it might be hard, that's a
Yeah,
chapter in my
definitely.
life that I want to close.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes, and that can be difficult sometimes when, the kids are like, oh, I want to find my birth mother. And then you find out
Mm-hmm.
like, hey, look, sometimes it turns out good, sometimes it doesn't. I don't really know. But as
Yeah.
far as your family is concerned, you all have been immaculate parents to all three of them.
Thank
Like
you.
I said, I have been in your guys' lives for about 20 years now, and I know that these kids were given a outstanding life. Outstanding. I mean, y'all did fabulous with these kids. I mean,
Thank
kids are
you.
going to be kids, and they're going to make the decisions that they want to make in their life. Ain't
Yes.
nothing you do
Yes.
about that, because that's just how they are. But
Mm-hmm.
you all are fabulous parents.
Thank you.
Fabulous parents.
Thank you, Jackie
Yeah,
Robinson.
you guys, you all did a great job with Aaron, Kendall, and Miles. They can't want for nothing.
No, no, no.
Great schools, activities, the whole nine. The whole
Mm-hmm.
nine. So you always know that you all are just, God selected you all for a reason.
Yes.
And
Yes.
he selected this path for you for a reason, because he knew he was going to bring some kids in this world that needed some great parents. And he found them, and found them with Chunky in the back of the bar.
In the back of the bar.
And with
Yes,
Chunky
in the back of the
in
bar.
the when he called me and told me this story, I was like, James, please get off my phone with this foolishness. Do not call Vanessa with this foolishness. Don't do that, miss.
Nobody believes you.
He
Nobody
was
believes.
like, Jackie, you ain't gonna believe it. You just not gonna believe this. And I share this story a lot with people too, because it's just so, I didn't really know much of how Miles came about, but
Mm-hmm.
whew, Lord have mercy. That was
Yeah,
great.
but
So
Kendall's
let's talk
story is
about,
just
go
Kendall's
ahead.
story is just so incredible.
It
Yeah.
really is like, that's nothing but God, like for real.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
From
mean,
beginning to end.
Miles too, but especially for it to happen so quickly, because I have heard women say, we've been trying to adopt, um, but they say we're too old, we're too, it's just been a process. It's too expensive.
Yeah.
It's the
Yeah. And
process is so,
it really shouldn't be. And it's lengthy and it's discouraging. But they can choose, and they should be able to choose the birth parents, who they want their child to go to.
yes.
Um,
A
you
single
know,
parent, it's hard for a single parent
hmm
to adopt. And hey, I was a single parent, so I know it can be done. And these children need a place to
yeah.
go and someone to love them, and they make it so difficult.
hmm
The system is so difficult for them to adopt a child.
Yeah.
So
And that's why you
your
have to be willing to go through different avenues, whether it be out of state or someplace like that. Just different places. There's a massive need. Yeah. And there are, and there's some, unfortunately, there's some people that don't want to go through the process, because then what will that say about them? Maybe caring what people think. I don't want anybody to know that I struggled with this.
That's a stigma that has to be changed. I mean,
It really does.
if God wanted all us to birth babies, we'd all be birthing them. But
Mhm.
you know, it doesn't always. And I know it has to be difficult sometimes when you're seeing this young girl running around here who with 5 kids, and she's 24 years old, and
Mhm.
4, 5 different baby daddies to go along with them. She can't support them, can't take care of them. I know that has to be frustrating, but God's plan, whatever He had planned for her, is what was planned for her. Whatever was planned for me, what was planned for me, and whatever was planned for you, what was is planned for you. You
Mhm.
know, there's no rule that says the only way you could be a mom is if you birth your baby.
Very true. And a lot
There's
of
no
times,
rule for that.
and I remember with the agency that we were dealing with Miles, I remember her saying something that it's usually the girls that have had a baby or two that decide to put the third or the fourth one up for adoption because they realize they can't handle it,
Can't handle it.
you know, or their support system that they had to help them with baby one and two is like, look, I'm not gonna keep doing this with you. And they realize they have to go to another source. But I think a lot of times these girls don't even know that that's an option for them,
They don't know
because
it's an
again,
option.
that's not something that's, prevalent in the African American community.
That's something that we need to talk about a little bit more then, because before you end up in a position where you are abusing or
Neglecting.
neglecting, you do have an option of, but once again, our people, grandma, you ain't gonna be putting my baby up for no, you ain't,
Mm-hmm.
y'all ain't putting our babies up for no adoption, even though it's there's a family out here who can provide a whole life
Yeah.
and a lifestyle that you can't even scratch the surface of.
Mm-hmm.
So we do need to talk about that more. You see other races adopting black children, and I don't knock anybody who adopts a child.
Mm-hmm.
But you adopt black children, but then you're like, oh shit, how do I come to here? I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
How do
Mm-hmm.
I?
And if you don't have, like some black friends or a black support community, anytime, when you adopt a different race, and like you said, I don't knock it, of course, because my family grew through adoption, but you have got to make sure that they still have that cultural base, you know,
Absolutely, they need to
and
know.
you're going to have to get out of your comfort zone, because the thing is, yeah, they're this cute little baby, this cute little toddler, but they're going to be grown for a long period of time. And if they don't have a cultural identity in that, because you've raised them to be colorblind, it's not going to work.
It's
It's
not,
not going to work. And
because
then that's
unfortunately, this world ain't colorblind.
no, and then that's a whole nother issue that this adult has to bring, that baggage that they have to bring into them,
Right.
because they may have a negative connotation with their assigned race. You might present yourself as this, but you're still African American or Hispanic or Asian.
Or
And
Asian, yes.
yeah, and if you're coming from a culture where there's a language issue, you're from China, so you're supposed to be able to speak Chinese, or you're Spanish and you're supposed to speak Spanish, you're Latin, and you don't have that cultural base because you were adopted, what do they call it, not internationally, but when you adopt another race, basically, you have to try to make sure they still have that base, whether.
Absolutely. And I really do feel that way, especially with our children, because unfortunately, we still have that. You might adopt a white family, might adopt a little black boy, but that little black boy might grow to be 6'3" and 235 pounds. And
Yeah.
now you got to teach this black boy how to act in society, as far as, okay, when you get pulled over by the police, you got to do this. When
Yeah.
you get confronted with this, you got to do that. I mean, the things that we teach, that's natural for us to teach our boys.
Yeah.
They don't know, because they think all the world is good. All the world ain't good.
Yeah, and
you
hopefully in
know,
2024, that all the world isn't good.
interracial.
Interracially, thank you. Yeah,
Thank you,
interracially.
girl.
I couldn't, I couldn't think of the term. I was like inter, and I just
Interracial.
thank you. Interracial adoptions, and just making
Yeah.
sure again they have that cultural identity. They're going to need that to navigate through this world.
Yeah,
They really
definitely.
are.
Definitely. Vanessa, I so appreciate you. I think that I would love to have you come back on, and probably maybe like a panel of parents who have adopted children, to educate our community on the process and how it works. And how, because I didn't know different states had different. I just thought y'all brought the baby home. We just jumped on the plane and came home.
Yeah,
I
I mean
don't know what is
different
entailed.
states, the woman can like relinquish her paternal rights right then and there, and it's done. And some states have a waiting period where the mother may have up to 6 to 12 months to change her mind. So
So I
I can't
think that we
imagine what
should do
that would
that.
be like.
Would you
Yeah.
be willing to come back and do like a panel discussion with
Oh,
other
sure.
adoptive parents, so we can
Mhm.
educate our community on the adoption process? Don't be ashamed of the adoption process.
Mhm.
I think that once once people's minds are broadened and opened and they see certain situations, that they become more receptive
Yeah.
to them. That's how I started talking about mental health, because that stigma is there with
Mm-hmm.
us. Of course, we believe we could pray it all away,
Yes.
and
Bring
we
it to
don't
Jesus. Bring it to Jesus.
bring it to Jesus, honey. Let me put some oil on that forehead for you. That there's a stigma on mental health, and mental
Hmm.
health comes in so many people experience mental health situations at any point in their life. I'm
Yes.
sure when you were going through what you were going through with your miscarriages and things like that, absolutely affects your mental health, because you
It does.
believe
Hmm.
that, okay, maybe I'm less than, maybe I'm not good enough, maybe
Hmm.
maybe
Something's wrong
something
with
wrong
me.
with me,
Uh-huh.
maybe why me, why not, how come me?
Hmm. God's,
I'm a great person,
God
I'm a
doesn't
teacher,
trust
I have a
me.
husband, we have a home, we have, why God don't trust me with a baby,
Hmm.
it's so many things that can affect your mental health. And so I want people to see that, even though, that's why I titled it, um damn, I forgot the title. I had gave y'all a good title for the show. You got a baby, but it wasn't the way you thought it was gonna come.
Uh-huh.
This ain't how I planned on having the baby, but the next thing I know, I got two.
Yeah.
So I want people to see that, you know, these babies may come as, you may not naturally birth a baby, but God is going to give you, it might be a godchild, you might be auntie
Hmm.
of the year, you might be godmama of the year, you might be bonus mama of the year, you may be adoptive mama from the year. You just never know
Hmm.
what God is
And
going to
you
put in
just
that
have to
space
be,
for
you
you.
just have to really be open and receptive to it. You
Be
just really have to be
open.
open and receptive. Um,
Be open.
because had I not, had I not, I feel like honestly, once I said that, like everything pretty much slotted itself in line after that. When
Yeah.
I said that, I was walking into church and I said
God,
that.
however you see my
I said,
family
God, however you
grow,
see fit to grow my
for my
family,
family.
I'll accept it with an open heart.
Mm, Jesus. And look what he did.
Yep. And look what he
Talk
did.
about the book before we jump off of here. Let's talk about your book. Y'all didn't know I got an author on here.
My
I be having I be
my
having
fourth
smart folks on here, y'all.
my fourth baby. I wrote this in 2020. Wow, it seems like it wasn't that long ago, but I'm an avid
Pandemic.
reader. Huh? Yeah, during the
During the
pandemic.
pandemic.
I think I
Mhm.
started like in 2019 and it was published in 2020. I'm an avid reader. I read a lot of different types of books, but my go-to genre is contemporary romance books. And I just read books that a lot of people kind of poo-poo on romance books, but they do have their place. But I just didn't like some of the female characters. I didn't like the fact that they didn't really have a life until they met these men. That they really just seemed like they were like damsels in distress. And I was like,
Mhm.
it's 2020. Why are these women still like this? Why are these stories still like this? These aren't like the
Yeah.
women that I know. The women that I know, we have our lives together and we still have our issues and we still have our behind the scene things. We take care of our business.
Right.
We may professionally have it going on for ourselves, but personally we might be a wreck, but we still are, making it happen, and handling business. And that was the kind of women that I wanted to see. And I wasn't seeing it, so I decided to write it.
So is
So
that Cain and Venus?
that is completely Cain and Venus.
Okay.
I still remember when I had the graphic artist create this, and she was doing a few different mock-ups for me. And I remember when she sent this to me, I opened it up like at 11 o'clock at night when I saw it, and like I was in tears because this was it. This was her, the character that I envisioned in my head, and I just fell in love with the cover, and I just love celebrating beautiful black, beautiful strong black women who, again, professionally we got it going on, but personally we're still a work in progress.
Yeah, still a work
And
in progress. Yeah.
that is definitely who she is. So
Awesome. Awesome. I appreciate you. Do you have any closing remarks or advice or tips that you can give, women that have experienced the same things that you've experienced with infertility?
Pretty much just don't give up, and just don't try to see every different opportunity, or not the word opportunity, but just try to see that there are other ways to make your mothering dreams come true. That is
Mm,
not just one way. And if the door closes in one area, it will open in another. Because if you have a pure heart that you want to be a mother, there are so many different ways that you can do it. And don't give up. Don't give up on yourself. Don't give up on your body. Um, and keep positive people around you that can keep you positive and motivated as well.
definitely. I know you definitely need that circle, that
Yes,
that
you need that
powerful circle
village.
around you. Not them,
Uh-huh.
girl, girl, not them, but
No,
you do
no,
need.
they're not going to help, and they might get cussed out.
You get cussed out.
They may
Vanessa,
get
this
cussed.
was good. I'm going to bring you back on. I can't wait to do this again. I do thank you so much for being open and transparent and sharing your story with us. Y'all, I didn't ask for this. I tell y'all this every episode. I did not ask for this blessing here. God just felt the need to use me as the vessel to help people get through certain aspects and make sure that their mental health is intact. And that is what I do. I didn't want to do this, y'all. I just wanted to be like Wendy Williams and be funny. That's all. And I just heard Jimmy Kimmel just put in his retirement. I just wanted to be like them and come on the show and be funny and act the fool. But God said, no, you're gonna heal people. You're gonna let people come on because healing is in the conversations. I believe wholeheartedly in my soul that healings are in the conversations. Those of you that are still on, if you can do me a humongous favor and please hit the like button. Just reach over to your little butt thing right there. Hit the like button for me. Hit the like button. That's how this thing grows. I need you to help me blow up, y'all. We gonna blow up with this thing, and I'm gonna take all y'all with me. You know, we try to do this every Wednesday night at 8 o'clock. If you or if anyone you know would like to be a guest on my show, I would love to have you. If you have a story that you believe that can be inspirational and helpful to someone else to make sure that they keep their mental health intact and they not about to jump off the ledge, if you can help me bring them back off the ledge, hey, I
Mhm.
would greatly appreciate it. And I would love to have you on my show. So follow me on Instagram, follow me on Facebook at Mission for Mental Health. If you want to be a guest, inbox me, text me, send me a letter, fly a kite, whatever you need to do. I don't care where you are in this country, because thank goodness for the good
Technology.
thing that came out of freaking pandemic is that we all can sit in our own homes and do this. But I actually don't have a problem coming out to you if you want me to. So if you like to be a guest, just reach out to your girl and let me know. Please don't forget the housekeeping rules, which is subscribe, like, and share. Subscribe to my channel, like what we got going on, and share with your friends and family so we can grow this thing. I will see you all next week. I hope y'all have a great one. I wore one of my little Black History Month shirts for y'all. You
Ooh.
see it? We black and strong and all that good stuff on here. So y'all have a great we black and strong for Black History Month, y'all.
Yes.
Look. Now we black and strong all the time, all year long. So it
Mhm.
doesn't even matter. But I enjoyed you. Thank you so much for coming on. If you can do me a favor and stand by while I close out the show, I'm going to talk to you soon as the credits finish rolling. Soon as the
Roll
credits
that
finish rolling, I'm
beautiful
gonna talk to
bean
you.
footage.
Yep. Stand by for me for a second, Vanessa. Hey, y'all, I will see you guys next week. Thank you for watching.